Juventus are literally chaos FC. Meanwhile, Vinny's dropped, but Mbappe's Madrid controversially prevail in the Champions League. North London are up and running, and Union Saint-Gilloise alongside Qarabag just made history. This is DMAC Daily. The Champions League is so freaking back, and in peak Juventus fashion, they have served up another epic. I didn't think it was possible to one-up last weekend's Derby d'Italia insanity, but match day 1 of the UCL campaign had other ideas. Ironically, it was 0-0 at halftime, a bit of a snooze fest. Then that happened. Goals galore, bangers left, right, and center. It was 4-2 in Dortmund's favor after 93 minutes. Yet somehow, Juve scraped a draw thanks to a late masterclass from Dusan Vlahovic off the bench, with 2 brilliantly taken goals from both feet before channeling his inner KDB to set up Lloyd Kelly in the 96th minute. Absolute scenes. Vlahovic has got to be the most confusing player on the planet. This guy gaslights me every season and goes crazy for a couple games, then disappears for months. He can be so frustrating to watch considering the quality he actually possesses, but maybe this season, approaching the final 12 months of his contract, he's gonna consistently lock in. He's got to secure the bag for next summer after all. I mean, he's averaging a goal contribution every 28 minutes so far this campaign. But Juve's real star is undeniably Kenan Yildiz. I was always under the impression that Arda Güler was Turkey's golden boy, but perhaps not, as this kid is a freak. The technique of that strike today was Del Piero-esque, just ruthless precision. He can score bangers, he can cook players in 1v1 situations. He's the creative heartbeat of this Juve side, but what excites me most about this player is the consistent development year on year. In 23-24, he burst onto the scene. In 24-25, he became a key first team player, and now I think he's set to evolve into something even better. Juve may have fumbled the bag letting go of Dean Haugen so cheap, but the fact that they signed this gem for free back in 2022 was a brilliant decision in hindsight. Focusing on Dortmund, and I don't know who messed up worse today, the players on the pitch or the kitman in charge of Guirassí's jersey. This is the second time they've bottled a late 2-goal advantage this season already. Dortmund fans will be furious, but for us neutrals, that was cinema. Moving to Penalty Madrid, and Los Blancos have opened their Champions League campaign with a 2-1 victory over Marseille, but to say this game was controversial would be putting it mildly. Before a ball was even kicked, the internet was in a frenzy as there was one notable absentee from Madrid's starting 11 in Vinny Jr., the second game out of a possible 5 this season that he has started from the bench. All the talk this summer was about Rodrigo's absence, but it's evident that Alonso isn't afraid to rock the boat, to drop the seemingly undroppable. But focusing on the match itself, and Trent's Madrid career just copped a fresh blow, pulling his hamstring after 5 minutes. But all the noise would be taken up by his replacement, Dani Carvajal. More on that in a sec, but it was Marseille who initially silenced the Bernabeu via Timothy Weah on his UCL debut, just like his father did 31 years ago on his UCL debut with Marseille at the Bernabeu. That is incredible. Mbappe then equalized via a penalty, and in the second half, it got really heated. Carvajal had a full-on head loss and was deservedly shown a red card. This is a 33-year-old man, by the way. What was bro thinking? But Madrid still somehow secured all 3 points via another penalty from Mbappe, his 50th goal in a Madrid jersey. But the decision to award this penalty was incredibly harsh, and that's my most charitable interpretation. Now, as an isolated incident, it's not the most scandalous penalty awarded, but it's the perpetual victim narrative that this club upholds that leaves a sour taste in many people's minds. Every time a decision goes against Madrid, like last weekend for instance, the toys are out the pram. We're forming official complaints to FIFA. Basically, they go full Karen. Yet when a decision goes in their favor, it's a very different story. Marseille's manager mentioned this in the post-match press conference, saying it's shameful. Meanwhile, both North London clubs opened their Champions League campaigns with victories and clean sheets. Arsenal may have dropped over £250 million on summer recruits, but ironically, it was their old guard, the substitutes of Martinelli and Trossard, both getting on the score sheet and both providing assists for one another. Every time I completely write off Martinelli, he somehow redeems himself. Ironically, he may actually benefit from the likes of Eze, Madueke and Gyökeres coming in, as there will be less pressure on him alone to deliver. Real talk though, guys, I'm kind of worried about this Arsenal team. That back four, even without Saliba, is rock solid, yet to concede a goal from open play this season. Mosquera looks a proper player too. Positive signs for the Gunners. Same thing could be said for Spurs, I guess, although hardly a memorable performance. That own goal was one of the worst I've ever seen, but hey, 3 points is 3 points for Spurs. They're now unbeaten in their last 21 home games in UEFA competitions, and their Tifo game continues to deliver. That would have been surreal to witness live in the flesh. Certainly a lot more visually appealing than Arsenal's most recent Tifo, that's for sure. Staying in the Champions League, and we also witnessed two incredible underdog results overnight that aren't being talked about enough. Qarabag secured the bag away in Benfica, coming from 2 goals down to defeat the Portuguese giants in what was the club's first ever victory in the competition away from home. I can't emphasize enough just how crazy of a result that is. Benfica's squad is worth 14 times that of Qarabag's. In fact, Benfica's most expensive recruit this summer, Richard Rios, is worth more than the entire squad combined. What makes this all the more impressive is that Qarabag were the better team. They fully deserved the 3 points, which is why Benfica have made the drastic decision to sack their manager, and you won't believe who is now favorite to take over. None other than Jose Mourinho. When club president Rui Costa was asked about the Special One's potential appointment, he refused to confirm the rumors, but also communicated that the profile of the next coach will have to be a winning coach. As of recording right now, it's yet to be officially confirmed, but Portuguese correspondent Pedro Almeida is claiming Mourinho has been hired. Not sure how Porto fans will feel about this, but what a storyline this could be, particularly seeing as though matchday 2 of the UCL sees Benfica travel to Stamford Bridge. But as I mentioned earlier, there was another historical result overnight, courtesy of Belgian club Union Saint-Gilloise. The journey this club is on is one of a kind. In 2015, they were literally in Belgium's 3rd tier. After a remarkable come up in the space of 6 years, Union reached the top flight of Belgium for the first time in 48 years. In 2024, they won their first Belgian Cup in 110 years. Then, a year later, they did one better, winning the league title for the first time in 90 years, resulting in a club-first qualification to the Champions League. And in their first ever match in Europe's premium competition, they have dismantled PSV 3-1 on the road. And like Qarabag, they thoroughly outplayed their opponents. Promise David bagged their first ever UCL goal from the penalty spot. Then Anwar Ait El Hajj scored an unbelievable solo goal, running half the length of the pitch and proceeding to bury it before Kevin McAllister, the brother of Liverpool's McAllister, closed the show. Not gonna lie, it might already be over for PSV. They've still got to face the likes of Leverkusen, Napoli, Liverpool, Atletico, Newcastle, and Bayern in the group phase. Yikes. In other notable fixtures overnight, Brentford advanced in the League Cup 3rd round at Aston Villa's expense on penalties. The only solace for the Villains was that Harvey Elliott bagged his first goal for the club. Crystal Palace also advanced via spot kicks, extending their unbeaten record in all competitions to 15 games, whilst 4th tier Grimsby Town's EFL Cup fairy tale continues, this time defeating Championship clubs Sheffield Wednesday away from home. Shifting gears outside of Europe, and the GOAT is back in the headlines. That's right, Darwin Núñez bagged his first Asian Champions League goal in Al Hilal's 2-1 victory over Qatari club Al Duhail. And in MLS, Messi's Inter Miami got their revenge over Seattle Sounders. No Suarez, no worries. Messi just linked up with Jordi Alba instead, with both players scoring and setting up goals for one another. They're currently sat 5th in the Eastern Conference, but if they do go on to win their outstanding 3 league fixtures, they could go top. Anyways, legends, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.